From podcasting in our bedrooms
to podcasting at the London Film Festival.
This week we'll be previewing the BFI London Film Festival with special guest Gavin Spoors.
This is The Film Angle.
Welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Alex.
And I'm Kris.
And this week, we're not really doing any of that. We're just previewing the London Film Festival, and we've even been able to get on a special guest as well, haven't we, Kris?
Yeah, that's right. We have Gavin Spoors. Great to have him on the show and discuss Alex's first rendezvous, big trip out into the big smoke without his dear friend Kris. I will be seeing you off. I'll be waving the ship goodbye, but I will be watching some films at home. But yeah, super excited for your big journey, Alex.
Yeah, we had a really brilliant conversation with Gavin, and we can't wait for you to hear it. I think if you're attending the festival and want to know what films to catch, then we preview a bunch of the films that we're excited about. But also, if you're in the same boat as me, and you've got a press accreditation for the first time, and you have a bunch of questions, or you're intrigued to see what the experience is going to be like, then we spend the second half of the podcast really going into what to expect and how to make the most out of that press accreditation. But I think even if you're not, a press member or have a press pass at the festival, then I think you're still going to find, some of the kind of behind the scenes stuff as to how that works really interesting. And again, we get more into kind of the festival itself and how to really enjoy a festival. So shall we just get into the segment, Kris?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. This is our preview of the London Film Festival with Gavin Spoors. We're excited to welcome Gavin Spoors to the podcast. Gavin is the deputy editor of the Filmhounds magazine and a journalist covering film, TV, and games. He also writes his own games and films. We invited Gavin to the podcast because of his extensive experience, particularly at the London Film Festival, where he has even written a guide for film journalists attending this year's festival, which is exactly what I needed as a first timer. So welcome to the podcast, Gavin.
Thank you very much for having me on board, and I'll try and not chat too much nonsense.
Brilliant. Chat away as much nonsense as you like. We don't mind. We're just happy to have you here and happy to get a bit of insight into what you're excited about from the London Film Festival, and hopefully give me some tips as well.
No pressure at all.
Exactly. So we were hoping, Gavin, when we have guests on the podcast, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better, we ask that you kind of bring us four of your, doesn't have to be necessarily your favorite films, but four films that you really, really love that would be a great way of our listeners to get to know you.
Of course. Starting with number one, every time I get asked this kind of question, this one is a mainstay in that top four.
Okay.
Rian Johnson's Looper.
Oh, wow.
Because that was so transformative for me. Because I was in college doing a film production course and really starting to get into screenwriting and watching that film. I don't know why I particularly was so buzzed about it coming out. I think it was just a mix of like reading Empire reviews and whatnot. And, because kind of into my sci-fi, I thought, oh yeah, this actually looks quite cool. Yeah. And it really hit me when you get the whole kind of loop of young Joe turning into old Joe and that whole kind of narrative structure that happens. And for 17-year-old me, that absolutely blew my mind. I was just like so taken aback. I thought you could do this kind of stuff in terms of like narrative structure and things. And I was just totally taken away by that. And it is just a pretty damn good sci-fi flick as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Looper's forever in my heart.
What was that? Rian Johnson's second film coming off of Brick, was it? Or did he do something before that?
Was it Brothers? Is it Brothers Bloom? The one with Adrian?
Yes. Yeah, yes.
So I think it was his third one.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you see like Rian in that early of a career and just seeing like, it was so exciting just watching this guy come out of nowhere and obviously still continues to be a really awesome filmmaker. I don't think there's one film of his I don't really like, to be fair. So yeah, it's a really good pick.
Yeah, I remember having a very similar experience because I was at film university or university studying film at the same time, and I remember Looper was such a huge film that we were all very excited for. And just I remember seeing it at the one of the Merlin cinemas in Falmouth and just being really, really fascinated. Yeah, again, I'm a big lover of sci-fi, so yeah, right up my street. And the image from that film that always like sticks with me, I think it's like the opening where it's like I can't remember. I don't think it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, but somebody in the past is being tortured essentially, and their future self is just losing body parts as they're running, I believe, away from something. And yeah, I just remember that particular image sticking with me completely.
It's so cool, but so horrible.
Yeah.
And you know what? Talking about horrible. Did you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, give us your second pick. Go for it.
It's spooky season. It's October. I've got to get a horror one in there. Absolutely. And there is a lot of horror that I do really like. I wasn't always a horror lover, but there's a friend of mine I met at uni, and he showed me the way. And one of those films was Peter Jackson's Brain Dead.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay.
It's such a blast. It's so much fun. It's ridiculous in the best way. There's a karate fighting priest in there. You got like a terrorizing demon zombie baby.
Yeah.
And one of the most bloodiest scenes ever on film.
Yes.
Like what's not to love?
I think I remember seeing this one at university as well. If I remember rightly, there's a pretty gruesome blender scene.
It's got the lawnmower and it holds up with the blade and just absolutely mows down a horde of zombies. It's awesome.
I haven't seen this film myself, but I remember people in school, like the guys in school who you knew were to be like the film nerds, were like, oh, like you like Lord of the Rings and all these other Peter Jackson movies, you need to see this one. And I just never got around to it. But I'm looking on Letterboxd right now. Yeah, it looks gory and bloody and disgusting, and I need to catch up with it.
And if I remember rightly, there's like a romance plot in it that's quite melodramatic as well. And that's which I believe is kind of like the really fascinating part of the film, of just how it's shot and how it looks and how it feels. Do you know what, Chris? I think next time you're around, I think we need to watch this one.
Put it on the list.
I don't want to toot my horn and kind of name drop stuff, but I did chat with Richard Taylor earlier this year. Did all the effects, the Weta Workshop.
Oh wow, nice.
Guy done all the effects for Lord of the Rings and Brain Dead. And I was thinking in the end, okay, I'm gonna fangirl a little bit and just say like, oh, I love your work like Lord of the Rings and Brain Dead. But he was so jazzed up when I mentioned Brain Dead.
No way.
And he was so happy that's like still talks about, because I imagine he gets it all the time, like love Lord of the Rings, which that's nice and all. But he was so jazzed talking about Brain Dead.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's clearly dear to him as well, because I imagine it must have been quite young when Richard and Peter and that kind of crew worked on that. Yeah,
I to be honest, I think it's the only one of Peter Jackson's like horror films I've actually seen, like his really early low budget stuff. And then obviously Lord of the Rings and his film with Kate Winslet. I always forget the name of it, but that was on his way up into slightly bigger production. I have seen that one, but yeah, his early horror stuff is probably a treasure trove, of which I've only delved into Brain Dead. So yeah,
you two are in for a treat if you're gonna go watch that.
Yeah, we definitely will. We definitely will. What's your number 3 pick?
Number 3, another one influential at my college days, Tron Legacy.
Oh wow, that is out there. That's left field, Gavin.
I will always fight for it in the corner. I may be battered and bruised by the masses, but I will fight for that film till the end of my days.
Look, I don't think there's a bad case for it. I think there's a world where that could be somebody's favorite film, and obviously is one of yours.
Because I think we can all agree it looks awesome and it sounds awesome. Like mainly because of Daft Punk. It's like you get Daft Punk doing the soundtrack. It's going to be an all timer. Like it's Daft Punk. But I do generally think the story's pretty good, and that's where I get arguments with people, or at least they're like, Gavin, what are you on about? And
I do remember seeing it in the cinema, and I remember being like mega excited for it. And I remember coming out not as, like, maybe a little bit deflated because maybe I'd hyped myself up a little bit too much. But it's been so long that I'm not prepared to fight you on the fact. To be honest, if I was to watch it again, I'd probably reconsider it. But it's been a while. It's been a while. But again, like you said, the Daft Punk soundtrack, the look of it is something to behold. Are you excited for because Disney are making another one now, aren't they?
Tron Ares, isn't it? Yeah.
I really want to, but
it's difficult.
Jared Leto, come on, that was a proper monkey's paw moment. New Tron, like, oh my, they're actually investing in Tron. Oh my god, Jared Leto's the lead. Oh
yeah, they just plucked his character from Blade Runner 2049 and put it in this one. Hope
put him in a snazzy suit and think, oh no.
Greta Lee's in it though. I'm excited for that.
Yes. Do love Greta Lee. So yeah. But that felt like a real monkey paws moment. So I'm going to reluctantly go see it, and I'm just going to try and just ignore Jared.
It does feel like this IP that Disney have always sat on. Like every decade, they try to recrack it again, but just can't seem to get it past like the point where it becomes, into the public zeitgeist. But I'd love to see them do it. I had the Tron Legacy spin-off Nintendo Wii game, and I remember enjoying that. Probably a little bit more than the film, but I enjoyed that a lot.
But also, because I recently played Tron Identity, it's like a visual novel game. And it's really like, I generally don't understand why Disney
can't crack it.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I'm happy for it. I'd love to see more Tron. It's a great world. But yeah, because they had the Disney Channel show with Elijah Woods.
Yeah.
Which to be fair, I've not actually seen the whole thing. I've seen a few episodes. And it's not bad. It's not bad. And then, like Tron Evolution, the game, a lot of people seem to have a fond memory of playing that on the 360.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played that
Tron
too.
Identity more recently, and that was actually pretty damn good. So, but I can't imagine they're making much money or success out of this, but I don't care.
Yeah, I think it depends how they market it, really, at the end of the day, isn't it? Like, just how kind of cool looking it is and how impressive it has the potential to be. But yeah, I mean, cautiously optimistic that they might do a good job, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. What's your number 4 pick?
Number 4, usually I was going to go with an easy pick and just go for Lord of the Rings, because that is an all-timer for me. But still fantasy. I've gone with Princess Mononoke because I felt like I need to get an animation piece in there as well. And that ticked both of those boxes. Fantasy, animation.
Yeah. We are currently conducting, we've just started our first episode and doing a Ghibli marathon on the film angle. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I can see Princess Mononoke over there on the shelf right now. Yeah, Gavin, definitely in good company there. Alex, yet to watch it, but he'll learn to understand very soon, Gavin, don't worry.
Yeah, the whole reason of our Ghibli series is to right the wrongs of me not seeing many of the films. So it's on the list. We're going to make our way through it.
To be fair, I only recently watched Mononoke in the last 2 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really grow up with Ghibli. So it was only kind of that, like when you get to college, uni, particularly when you're, in like film courses and whatnot, you start kind of catching up on things. And Ghibli was one of them.
It's funny that you said that you won't pick Lord of the Rings, because of all of the Ghibli films, Princess Mononoke is the most similar to Lord of the Rings. It's got that similar sort of epic fantasy vibe. So yeah, absolutely. I can see what you lean towards, Gavin, anyway, as a film watcher.
I'm just looking behind me as well, like all fantasy stuff.
Yeah, good versus evil. Yeah,
fantasy, sci-fi, horror. I am there.
You're in good company. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing those, Gavin. Hopefully our listeners have a better idea of who you are if they didn't already. So thank you for that. Shall we get into the kind of big topic of the episode? if you're new here, I'm going to the London Film Festival. We applied for press accreditation on a bit of a whim, and then kind of were a little bit surprised when I got accepted. Wasn't expecting it at all. So was really excited, really happy to have that. Unfortunately, we do have jobs outside of the podcast, which meant that Kris, unfortunately, couldn't make it with us this time round. But basically, I'm going to see what it's like, get a good idea, and then I'm bringing him with me next year. We'll make sure we'll plan it properly. But I am a bit of a, as much as I'm excited, I'm also a bit of an anxious wreck. So in a little bit, let's get into some tips. But to begin with, shall we talk about the films that we're excited to see at the festival? So it's a pretty extensive program of films that are coming out this year, and I've written a few things on like 3 or 4 of them, films that I was most excited to see that kind of fall within the dates that I'm going. So I'm going from the 11th to the 18th. So looking at when the different press screenings are and some of the other kind of gala events that are going on at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Press pass doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to see any of these films. So these are the films that we are hoping to see and hoping to get a better idea of.
The new ticket ballot system has caught a lot of people off guard for this year.
Oh, already?
As parents. I mean, not the ticket ballot system. That's a whole separate thing, but just pre-booking for all the press screenings. So that's been exciting. But I've already done a little bit of that with the pre-festival screenings, but could certainly, again, talk about that and top tips.
Brilliant. That'd be great.
10 things you need to know about London Film Festival.
And then Kris, you're also going to chat to us about some of the films that you were excited to see from the digital library of films that you have access to.
Yeah, so obviously I'm really sad that I can't make it to the film festival this year. As Alex said, this is something that we decided pretty late into the year. And by that time, I just couldn't get the schedule to work. So having said that, though, I can still appreciate, and participate in the festival in my own little way. Of course, we have access to the multiple screeners, and I'll be watching and reviewing for the podcast in later weeks. So not completely left out.
Not completely left out at all. A different experience, and one that maybe some other people will share as well. But I thought I'd kick it off with the main film that I'm excited for. And Gavin, I believe from watching your TikToks, you're probably on the same page with me on this one. But anybody who listens to the podcast knows I'm a massive Luca Guadagnino fan. And Queer will be premiering during the week that I'm there. He's one of my favorite directors. I think he's one of the only filmmakers at the moment who truly makes the most of the different elements of the medium to tell his stories within film. And Challenges from this year is still my favorite film of this year, and probably is going to go on to be one of my favorite films of all time. I absolutely love that film. And Queer is written by the same writer, Justin Kurzetz, I believe is how you pronounce his surname. So we've got the same writer on board for Queer. We've got Daniel Craig playing the lead. And we also have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross back to deliver on the score. So I am mega pumped to hopefully see this film.
Just how crazy is that kind of creative team? The potion seller guy writing the script.
Yep.
Like Daniel Craig going off the hook once again. And Guadagnino just being Guadagnino. Like, I'm so excited for this.
I know. I'm. I think there's only a clip out there at the moment from the film itself. So apart from reviews coming out of, I think, Venice, it might have premiered at. There's not much that we actually know about the film. We know that it's based on a novel of the same name, and we know that apparently Drew Starkey, who plays the kind of, I guess, second lead or. I'm not 100% sure what his role is exactly. That's why I'm struggling to kind of describe what's going on. But apparently he's phenomenal in this. So very excited to kind of see where this goes.
And with that clip, like, what a weird clip to show, as this is our first look, other than that kind of one same press image that go around about Daniel Craig outside a cafe.
Yes.
And like, what a weird clip to show.
Yeah.
There's like no trailers or anything like that. But I think that's probably indicative of the experience that we're going to get with this film. that it is going to be a proper weird old time.
I think in Guadagnino we trust. I have not been disappointed by him
Amen.
yet. I love everything he's doing with his kind of filmmaking trajectory at the moment, and just happy to be back in a cinema seat watching one of his films so soon after the last as well. So and just excited to see as well what Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross come up with as a score, because I've heard it is completely different to Challengers, but just as intriguing, I believe.
So I won't be listening to this one in the gym for at least a month. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially. Okay. What was your kind of feelings on Challengers, Gavin? Were you a big fan of Challengers?
I was a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And annoyingly, the whole ball to the racket thing was passed around online so much. I had a sense of what was going on, so I didn't have the full surprise of that at the end, but still landed so well. But it's just, I just had so much fun. It's just a fun film, and the whole relationship, I was not expecting the dynamic so much between the two lads, Mike Faced, Josh O'Connor, because it was all tease, but I didn't realise, and outside of that scene in the bedroom, but outside of that, I didn't realise how their relationship really was throughout the whole film, and really, really got into that.
It's a really exhilarating film, isn't it? It's like the equivalent of going down a hill on your bicycle, falling off the bicycle at a ramp, and then somehow landing on the bike again. It's just it's so exhilarating from that point of view.
That's a really good way of putting it.
But it was like one of those things that just oh my goodness, cinema's not stupid to say cinema's back, but after a few months of kind of being a little bit sour on some of the recent releases, it was really cool to be just planted back into the cinema again with a film that was really, really exciting.
But pardon the pun, so many great swings as well, absolutely insane camera work at the end, and that thumping score. It's just, you can tell that everyone's having fun and just having a blast, and screw it, we'll just go mental and throw it out the wall, see if it sticks, and it does.
Yeah,
so good.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. That just shows you, if still 6 months on, we're still raving about Challengers. It just shows you just how kind of excited we are for Queer. Gavin, is there a film that you wanted to talk about that you're excited for, or did I just steal your thunder? I do apologise if I did.
Queer was my number one, but I head to number two, which for me is Conclave. I love me a good political, religious kind of drama. And I was already sold on it from the cast and just the whole concept. I love looking back at Game of Thrones, for example, the early days where it's that real kind of backstabby political machinations going on, and this just seems all about that. So I love that kind of stuff. And great cast, Fiennes, Lithgow, Tucci.
Rossellini's in this too, isn't she? Yeah.
Amazing cast. But what sold me, and I didn't realise this until a few days ago, is a screenwriter from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Which, if you're going to get someone to adapt a book and get all nitty-gritty into kind of backstabbing, plotting and whatnot, you're going to get them on it. So that's got me really excited for it now.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's got me really interested as well. I think because of when I'm attending, I think I might just be missing out on this one. But this is essentially, it's not a true story, but it's almost a fictitious take on a Pope dying and then the Vatican trying to decide who's going to take his place, right?
Yeah. I've not really looked too much into, because it's based off a book, I think.
Yes.
I've not really looked into the backstory, because as soon as I saw kind of the trailer and the press release, I was like, no, don't need anything else. I'm sold. I'll be there.
You were like, historical Italy, Ray Fiennes, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy writer, and All Quiet on the Western Front director. You're like, sorted.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Perfect. Kris, what about yourself? What have you seen that is available digitally for you?
Perfect world. If I was there at the film festival, there'd be films like you guys just mentioned, but Anora I'm really excited about as well. Memoir of a Snail, the stop motion film, I've heard really good things about. And obviously, We Live in Time is obviously one that everybody just wants to see, because if I'm going to get upset, it might as well be in the hands of Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. But yeah, I'm going to be catching up from home. First one I wanted to share that came up on my radar is a Hong Kong drama called All Shall Be Well, which is a film written and directed by Ray Young, which revolves around Angie and Pat, a lesbian couple in their mid-60s. So now, Alex, Gavin, I'm sure this isn't a spoiler because I read this in the synopsis, but the film opens with the sudden passing of Pat, and what the film then becomes is a story of Angie navigating the sudden tragedy in her life, as well as dealing with the various pressing family dynamics of Pat's family. So yeah, it's one of those I'm really looking forward to catching up with. It doesn't sound light, but it sounds really affecting, and early reviews have been really, really positive. So yeah, that's probably the first one I'm going to catch up with at home.
Did recently put that on my list to try and watch at home as well, because again, I've heard whispers from people who've seen it saying it's pretty good, and know a lot of people who've seen it now on the digital library, and they've been saying it's really worth checking out. So yes, I hope you enjoy that, and I'll certainly be slapping it on my watch list as well.
I wanted to showcase one of the smaller films during my time there, because we can't just talk about the big ones here. The festival is got a varied amount of feature films, shorts, and documentaries. So one of the smaller ones that kind of picked my fancy was a film called Sebastian, which is from a Finnish British writer director, and again we're going in blind with the names here, so I hope I'm not butchering them. But Mikko Michaela. So there is a trailer for this film on YouTube if you wanted to check it out. But essentially, the film follows a 25-year-old named Max, who's an aspiring writer living in London, and he begins a life, or a double life, should I say, as a sex worker in order to research his debut novel. So the reason this kind of picked my fancy was I am someone who has dabbled a little bit in screenwriting in the past, and I have recently kind of gotten back into reading again, and I'm just like, oh man, I think there's a book in me somewhere, and I've always been fascinated by this idea of kind of artistic creation and writing from your own reality, and just how far you can take that. And this film seems to, at least from what I can tell, wants to explore that idea and really push its characters to learn more about themselves, and I'm just kind of excited to see where that goes. So that's one of the smaller films that I've noted down. It's going to be screening while I'm there, and I'm just excited to try and catch that one.
I'm very excited to see what people think of it, because it was at the BFI Flair Festival earlier this year. No, was it Flair or was it? No, sorry, Sundance. It was at Sundance, and I managed to catch that.
Oh,
I thought I need to watch it again, because I have a feeling if I watch it again, I'd like it more than I did the first time.
Okay,
sure.
There was parts of it where it goes in a couple of directions. I was like, oh, I wish it didn't quite do that, but more and more people see it and they're all raving about it, and you know when you get that feeling of, am I in the wrong here? Do I need to watch it again? But I am genuinely, because I love the concept is really great, and in general it does work really well. It's really interesting. So I definitely, if I have the time, I would like to watch it again. Or maybe if you go watch it, you go, Gav, you're an idiot, you need to watch it again, it's great. And I will absolutely.
I'll let you know.
It definitely has that sort of like Andrew Haig look about it. Whenever you're looking at the film, like, it's kind of reminiscent of something like All of Us Strangers. It looks very delicately shot, but yeah, look forward to catching up on that one too.
What about yourself, Gavin? Any others that you're looking forward to?
I've got two more on my list, and I'm going to go with next Emilia Perez. Not gonna lie, I mean, I was just gonna go to the press screening for it, but I've actually got a ticket for the gala.
Oh, dude,
because
nice.
My partner is a massive Selena Gomez fan, and we're fingers crossing that Selena will be there.
Yep.
At the gala. But I don't mind, because just like what a crazy pitch! A musical about a trans cartel boss. It's just one of those things. It's like Night Bitch, where you're just like, Amy Adams turns into a dog. A musical about a trans cartel boss. You're just like, well, I don't need anything else. That sounds great.
Robbie Williams is a chimpanzee.
Robbie Williams is a chimpanzee. Which that's a whole other podcast in itself. Good God. But it has got really good buzz. Obviously, was it Cannes that it was first at?
Emilia
I believe it was. Yeah.
But it's done quite a few festivals now, and it's always been good buzz, particularly the performances. And I do think, like, that kind of central trio, I've completely forgot who plays the leads, this cartel boss, but like Zoe Saldana and Selena, a lot of people are touting them for kind of award season and potential Oscar nom. So it's quite exciting when you do get involved in the festival circuit and you're watching something that, you know, a few months down the line ends up being there on Oscar night, and that can be exciting in itself. When you see something that early, but yeah, like the trailers look great, and again, just that kind of original, unique take might, even if it ends up being something I really don't like, I would absolutely appreciate a film that just takes wild swings, whether they work or not.
I'm always fascinated by like any modern day film that takes on the musical, and then with a premise like that, surely, like you said, even if it turns out not to be as great as we'd like it to be, just the ambition alone is something to go for. Unless I can get tickets to the gala, I arrive on the Friday, which I think is when it is premiering, so I'm not going to be seeing any of the press screenings prior. But that Friday night, I might see if I can find a way to get gala tickets, either for that or Anora. I'm up in the air. I would love to see both. I feel like seeing a musical on the big screen is the best way to see it. I would preferably not like to see it when it's on my TV on Netflix in a couple of months, because I just think like films like that deserve the full experience, don't they? So we'll see how that one goes. But no, thanks. But I am excited for that one as well, and who knows, maybe I'll see it. Chris, what about yourself? Do you have any others?
Yeah, another film I'm really excited to see, guys, is a film called When the Light Breaks, which is an Icelandic drama which centers on a young woman called Una, and the film is set over the course of a single day, where the film opens up with Una in an early stage of a relationship that is blossoming, and Una is forced throughout this day to experience an odyssey of emotions for one reason or another. So yeah, it's available via screener, but also it's screening on the 16th and 17th, which are both sold out. So there's a lot of buzz. Again, similar to the All Shall Be Well film, it's had really good initial reaction. So yeah, really interesting. Don't get many young, youthful sort of romance dramas from Iceland, so that's kind of a big draw for me. So yeah, be interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by that one as well. And if I remember rightly, when I was doing a little bit of research, I think I have heard good things about it. What about yourself, Gavin?
I was just about to say, well, first of all, it's hilarious that the two picks that you've gone for in the library are super heavy.
Yeah.
Films. We get a sense of your taste now.
Music similar as well. Shige is my life.
Yeah, I literally yesterday and this morning, I've had other LFF kind of press people who've seen it on the library, and they've just been raving about it. But with that warning of it's heavy, it really is heavy. That one.
Yes, I have seen other information about the film by accident that I won't share on the podcast medium, but yes, it does sound pretty heavy, as you said.
Yeah, very interested to see that one. I'll definitely be adding that one to my list. But yeah, maybe in the comfort of of my own home, I can cry by myself. The other big film that's premiering there while I'm there that I wanted to talk about, which you already kind of alluded to, Chris, was We Live in Time. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, like I said, like what more is there to say? It's the latest film from John Crowley, who directed Brooklyn and The Goldfinch, and it is a bit of a kind of sad romance film by the looks of it. It follows two characters who are brought together on a surprise encounter, and you get to see their life, which looks like it's going to have some pretty big ups and some pretty major downs. So I am a sucker for very kind of emotional romance films. And although these films can sometimes tend to be a little slight and contrived, I am fully happy that if you can make me cry without making me feel like I've been artificially manipulated, even though that is always what's happening, I will sing your praises. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I really want to see this in the cinema. Nobody talk to me afterwards, just in case.
And don't forget the horse as well.
Yes, the famous horse. I saw Andrew Garfield had, I don't know if it was like a recent premiere or something, had attended it with it embroidered on his jacket. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Just brilliant.
Sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, if I bump into Andrew Garfield at the festival, I will also be a
Highly
bit of a
likely.
mess as well. I'll also be a bit of a mess as well. Oh, Andrew, I love you. But that also won't happen because I don't want my press pass taken away. But it might.
Andrew's going to personally steal it.
Oh God, he can. He can do whatever he wants. So yeah, We Live in Time. Very excited for that one. What about you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So super excited for that one. Yeah, I mentioned that at the former footnote of the show, but yeah, I think it does really. If we're being honest with ourselves, we're here for the stars, aren't we? I mean, if you inserted any other actor who maybe is not as well known, I don't know if this would be on as many people's radar. I know John Crawley is very renowned for certainly Brooklyn, but The Goldfinch was sort of like a little bit mixed response, but it has a little bit of the Richard Curtis element to this. But let's hope it's not too leaning into the treacle element. But if it is, it has to be self-aware. You never know. Sometimes these films can be very self-aware of how genre specific they are. And if you lean into them, they can be really good times. It's not something to poo-poo for any reason. I like these kind of movies.
It feels like a while since we've had. I mean, you do get a lot of kind of rom-coms and romantic dramas in a lot of the other program strands within LFF, like the Love Strand and whatnot. But a big gala special presentation being like a classic, like this feels like something you'd see, in the early noughties kind of thing. But to have that as a gala is quite exciting. And I think probably quite indicative of maybe we're in for something a little bit special here. But like you say, it really is about the stars of this, Pugh and Garfield. And from what we've seen, and I think probably what we've heard, they really have that chemistry and it could be something really special. So yeah, absolutely excited to see it.
Yeah, they are both like fascinating actors. So yeah, seeing them together for the first time will be great to see. Yeah, it's just one of those matches which like I hadn't really thought about it until the film brought them together. And you're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's obviously going to work.
The last one I've got on the watch list is, I don't know, I feel a bit cheeky about this because I've literally managed to watch it the other day. Oh. But you have mentioned it already. Memoir of a Snail.
Okay,
briefly, but that was on my list. Like before even seeing it at the pre-screening lineup, and I'm glad to say it is fantastic. It was so up there on my list because just the way it looks, but I didn't expect such a big reaction from the Toronto Film Festival with it, and that's what got me initially excited. I kind of saw it initially, thought, okay, this could be fun, kind of sat in the back of my mind, but after that massive reaction from Tiff, I thought, oh, okay, I really need to check this out. And it's essentially what Pixar wish it is. Well, it's reminiscent of Pixar in its heyday.
Yeah.
Like I would admit I cried a lot in this one, but it's so funny, so like laugh out loud funny. And what took me by surprise with Memoir of a Snail is how much of an edge it has to it. It is quite adult in places. It's definitely not something you would take your young kids to see. Like 12 at a minimum. It's more teenagers.
You seem like even hesitant teens. On the 12.
Yeah, wow, okay. Thematically, not more than anything.
Yeah, like there's a bit of blood in there, but it's played for laughs more than anything. But being like Australian is got a few. Yeah, you're not gonna hear. Wait, am I allowed to swear in this podcast?
Yeah, you're all good.
You don't really find Pixar films where there's a character screaming "dickhead" at someone. Like you get that a fair bit in this.
I wish.
I know, right? Imagine Mr. Incredible telling someone to like piss off or something. That'd be amazing.
Calling Nemo a dickhead.
But yeah, it's just it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, and it's just wonderfully made. So
I knew as soon as I saw the first image released for that film that I knew it was from the same team as Mary and Max. It just has that. It's definitely like got an auteur, unique, individual sort of look to that film. So so I'm not surprised it's a little bit more adult and a little bit more out there. Hence one of the reasons why I'm so jealous that people like yourselves get to go see it if it runs on your calendar.
Again, I think I might miss this one, but if there's a way to see it, I will try my best, because it does look very interesting. Stop motion animation with a bit of dark humor, and like you said, a little bit of sadness as well. I'm very much into that. I'll happily go on that ride. So yeah, thanks for sharing that one. Kris, did you have any others you wanted to mention?
I have one last one, and I thought I'd mix it up a little bit more. This one is a short film. I don't think it's been screened yet because I couldn't find much in a way of responses to it online, but it's a short film called Rhoda, which is written and directed by Alex Lawther, who anybody, I'm sure people are familiar with. He's acted in shows like Andor and films like Ridley Scott's The Last Duel and The French Dispatch. And so this stars Emma Darcy and Juliette Stevenson, and this is a story of Rhoda who takes in a lodger, but this new person suddenly disrupts the whole status quo of her home, and her life is turned up into turmoil. So don't know much more about it than that, other than the involvement of the three, the big three, and this is quite interesting in of itself. Really excited to see what they come up with.
And when you see kind of like bigger people attach themselves to a short film, there's something there. They're grasping onto something that made them want to be part of a project like this. So
yes, it's attracted them for some reason. Yeah.
So fascinating to see that. The shorts program is something I'm probably not as familiar with, but hopefully something I will get to know pretty soon.
I always feel so bad for missing out on the shorts because there's so many amazing stuff in there, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of time, it's like the energy and being able to set aside that bandwidth to watch the shorts. So I feel really bad about missing out on the shorts, but I try to at least sneak in a few from the digital library in there because there are some really great gems in there. So I'm glad you've picked that one out and forced me to watch some shorts. We all need to support the little ones.
Definitely.
Well, it's also interesting to see if an actor has also picked it up from being on set, working as an actor in the last 10 years and seeing if they can translate that into that medium, because it could be the birth of something quite interesting, especially when they have that platform, if they've already had success, it could lead into everything. So it intrigued me for that reason.
I wanted to showcase just another smaller film once again, which caught my eye. This one is from writer-director Laura Carriera. It's called On Falling. There's not really a lot known about this film. There is a clip that you can find online, but no trailer or anything like that. But here's the plot description. It follows Aurora, who is a Portuguese warehouse picker working in Scotland. Trapped between the confines of her workplace and the solitude of her flat share, she seeks to resist the loneliness, alienation, and ensuing small talk that begin to threaten her sense of self. So my hope for this film is that it really explores the story of an immigrant worker and that kind of transnational nature of that kind of story, as well as the isolation that comes from being outside of your home country or your comfort zone. So it's one of those things, film always has the power to provide you with stories that are different from your own and allow you to kind of empathize with characters that you may not be able to relate to completely. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being swept up in this and in what could be a powerful character study, and just one of those films which as soon as I read the description and saw the short clip, I was just intrigued by what this might offer. So that's one of the films on my list for this year.
Sounds really interesting, Alex. I had to catch that up. Yeah, from what I'm looking up on here online, doesn't seem to be much about it so far, but yeah, it sounds pretty interesting.
I'm intrigued. Gavin, what about yourself? This one come across your watch list yet? Or
It didn't initially, I won't lie. But again, well, I don't know whether you find it now being a part of LFF, you get so many different emails from.
Yes.
Get used to all those emails. One of them has been with On Falling, so it has kind of forced its way into my vision. But again, I'm kind of glad it has. But it'd be one of those where if I can make time for it, I definitely will. I would like to check it out at some point. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's no real kind of duds for me. Nothing that I'm gonna like actively avoid at LFF. Like, I'm happy to watch pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Has that been the case in previous years, Gavin? Has there ever been like a difficult couple of days where it's like, oh, what have I put myself in for, or has it generally been pretty pleasant?
It's been pretty pleasant. There's always, except I don't think it happened last year, but my previous years, there's always one, for me anyway, there's always like a single 1-star dud.
Yeah.
And then the rest are like
accepted to be a 1-star film.
Typically, yeah. There's films where outside of the festival, you'd think, okay, I can probably appreciate it, but you're knackered, it's long days, and it's, I've got like a 3-hour film to watch at 8 in the morning, and you're thinking, no, this is not the right time or place for it, because you want to be able to appreciate it. So there's things like that where you think like, it kind of dampens it a little bit. But yeah, there's nothing. I've not done like a Cannes thing where I start shouting at the screen and cursing the filmmakers and the cast and crew. But yeah, a lot of time it's just, that's pretty disappointing, or I'm just too tired for this. This is not the right time to watch this. I'll watch it again.
Yeah, try this again another time. I mean, to be fair, that probably leads us into like the next section of the show to kind of like get a better understanding of the podcast. But it is worth saying, like, those are the films that we've picked out as some of the ones we're particularly excited for. But yeah, like you said, Chris, there's a bunch to be excited about this year, not just at the festival but online as well. And so as somebody experiencing it for the first time, it's just it's almost like Christmas morning again, and you're just like, so many things I can go see. I just can't wait to get in there and kind of make the most of it. Where we wanted to get you on the show, Gavin, was basically I just needed a little bit of guidance, it's a little bit of help, and potentially other people might be listening who are in the same position as well. And you have written an article online which kind of goes through some of the questions that I'll be asking in a minute, and kind of alleviate some of those potential questions that arise from attending the festival, particularly as a member of the press for the first time or with a press pass. So I guess just to leave a big loaded question on you there, how do I make the most of the festival, Gavin? I want to make the most of this. I booked an Airbnb. I'm going to be there for a week. Help me make the most of this.
It's, there's all sorts of different things with making the most of it, because you can just absolutely throw yourself at it and just watch like everything, just fill your eyeballs all the time, every day. And I do think there is a danger to that. And I did that one year where I think it was out of the week and a half. It was nearly the full week and a half that I was at the festival every single day, morning till night. And that physically broke me, and it financially destroyed me. Yeah. It's like I could have gone for a holiday for the amount of money that I spent on that. And that kind of ruined me a little bit at my bank account. But I totally get, because, you are committing to, especially when you are traveling in from afar, like you're committing to the accommodation and you do want to make the most out of it. But I'll talk about like burnout things in a little bit, I suppose. But it's in terms of making the most out of it. The schedule is your best friend, and I generally see people have whole massive spreadsheets and they're timing everything. But in reality, you're probably going to get around, if you really push it, like 4, maybe 5 films a day. And that's a lot in itself. Yeah. But if you want to, you like, all the power to you. You can absolutely go for it. And yeah, with the new pre-booking system, there's just making sure that you're up and ready 2 days beforehand to book it. Yeah. And I've already done that with the pre-festival screenings that I've done. Yeah. And it is as simple as 8:00 on the dot on the app. Go to your film, you press book, and it's done. Yeah. Yeah. I've not experienced it yet where it's told me, no, go away, it's fully booked. So I have no idea what happens in that regard. But in terms of a successful booking, you just book it and it's there, it's done. It just turns into a cancel option. So great. And
does that provide you with a ticket, or is it just they know that your name's on the list kind of thing then?
Your name's on the list. So when you go up to the screening itself, you'll have your press pass, your digital press pass. And you just go up because it has the barcode on it. And you go up, they scan your barcode, and it comes up. You can kind of see it on their tablets as well. It comes up where it's like, ding, yep, you're on the list, you're good. And you just go in, grab your seat. But outside of that general press process, the other thing that really helps me every single year is the ticket ballot system. Okay. So you get emails about it a few days before kind of each day, and essentially it's just any tickets left for public screenings, and that can include the galas sometimes. And you can just claim free tickets, and you put in, usually how it works, you put in like you got 3 options, pick your preference of what 3 you might want to grab, and they'll let you know. Usually I think sometimes it's on the morning of the screening's happening, which can be a little bit annoying. Sometimes it's like the day before, but usually it's in the morning of that you're told you're successful or not. Okay. But that's got me into so many great screenings across the Curzon cinemas and the Prince Charles cinema, where you always get the best crowd in there. Yeah. And I've been able to fill in my evenings with going to public screenings for free, using the press pass, using the ticket ballot system. That is an absolute godsend. Yeah. So that first day that I arrive on the Friday, I'm actually working with my actual job elsewhere in London, but then after that I'm going to go to the Airbnb and sort myself out. So my hope was on that Friday night, 3 days prior, I think the ticket ballot opens up, I might be able to book a screening for that evening. So that was kind of my plan, was who knows, maybe I realize the galas might be a little bit tricky to go to, but if I can have if I can throw my hat into the ring for like a Nora and Amelia Perez, then I will be there. So that's always something that I've not been able to experience yet, but I'm excited to see how that all works and seeing what I can do, because a lot of the press screenings happen basically from 8 in the morning till about 4 p.m, don't they? So then your evenings are kind of free to either rest or maybe go see a film with a non-press crowd, a public screening, which I guess is probably quite an exciting way to watch them sometimes, because you're actually truly experiencing the festival like that. Do you have like do you try and split it so you're trying to do like a 50-50 press screenings, 50 and like 50% public screenings, so you're feeling like you're part of the atmosphere of the festival as well? Or is it purely like, if you want to see the films, the best way is just to like fit as many press screenings in as you can? Yeah, that's usually how I've done it, because it just aligns with my day, because I'm there early in the morning, and I just, if I can avoid being there till 11 o'clock at night, I will. Because if you're doing like 8 till 11 every day, it's a lot. I try to just get in to see what I can, but there are some really great benefits about this public screenings, because even for the ones in like Curzon, in the Prince Charles, you usually always get a Q&A as well with cast or crew that are available.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I think there's always been a Q&A for every single public screening that I've been to.
Oh, brilliant.
Sometimes it's just the writer-director, but sometimes you could get the full cast and writer, director, producer as well. It just depends. But they could be really good fun as well. So that's the bonus of the public screenings, and obviously just being with that crowd. And like I said, have you been to the Prince Charles Cinema before?
No, do you know, I've not. I've not been to London in like a few years, and then the other day I was there with work, and it's like all of a sudden I'm going to be up in London again, like nearly every month for the rest of the year. So I've not been to any of the cinemas actually. I'm really excited to experience them.
If you get on a ticket ballot and you go for a screening of the Prince Charles, you are in for a treat.
Really?
It's always the best crowd there because it's all like that cinema is home for your cult kind of cinema, and
it's a beautiful looking cinema as well. Like looking at the interior, like it's really really classy, and it looks really nice.
And it's always a loud crowd, but in a good way. You know, they're really with the film. They're laughing with it. They're kind of cheering with it, and it's always a good time, a really good response. And they typically have a lot of their kind of, trying to remember what the Strand names are called. I think it's like Dare, things like that, or your midnight kind of stuff. They usually put it in the Prince Charles because they know the crowd's going to eat it up. So that's always fun. The Curzon, they usually put like you're going to find your dramas and kind of just everything else in there. But again, they're usually good with the Q&As as well. And again, some of the Curzon cinemas are beautiful on the inside. Some lovely locations and sites they got. But yeah, and to be honest, the buzz with a lot of the press crowd's really good as well.
Yeah, okay.
One of my favourite screenings I've ever been to was seeing Hitman last year at LFF, and I've never heard a press crowd get that loud. There was one point where we all cheered and clapped. We started applauding for one scene in the film.
Oh, brilliant.
Never seen anything like. We were all just in tune with it. It was one of the best screenings I've ever been to in my life.
I loved the film, but didn't respond that way when I watched it on Netflix at home.
Yeah, it was just standing up from your sofa, giving a standing ovation.
My dog looking at me like, what the hell? Yeah.
That's brilliant. With the press screenings, so that how does the rush queue system work? So I've heard of rush queues, and I've listened to other podcasts that have attended festivals and talked about them, but like, what is a rush queue, and is it obvious when you're there which queue you need to be lining up in?
The rush queue, it's a concept. No, it's so typically it's around like half hour before a public screening starts that you could go queue up and grab any tickets that are available for it. Again, usually you're going to be more successful with any public screenings that are in the BFI South Bank, or again like the Curzon or the Prince Charles, because usually all the gala and special presentation screenings at the Royal Festival Hall are all sold out. And I've seen the rush queue for that, and they open that one for public as well. And unless you're queuing 2 hours before and you get lucky and you're like one of the first 5 people in, it's the chances aren't usually good, really, for if you want to get in like the public gala special presentation stuff. You got to get lucky with the ticket booking system, the ticket ballot system, or you just have to pay for it like anybody else. But for everything else, the rush queues, again, that saved my bacon in the past, and I've been lucky in seeing some good public screenings with that. And usually at each site they'll have it like it's just kind of like a crude sheet, but at least it's a big piece of paper they print out, and because they have rush queues for public as well, but they do signify which one's for press, which one's for the public. And again, there's always volunteer staff at each cinema, so they're really, really helpful. So you could just always ask them, and they're usually great at pointing you in the right direction. But it's usually clearly labelled. And you just hope that, sometimes I've had it before. There's like, it was for the worst person in the world as well, which I was particularly salty about. And there was, I think, about 6 people in front of me. and he only had 6 tickets left.
Oh no!
And I was the 7th person, so I couldn't see it. But that was
such
fine.
a good movie too.
Yeah, I watched it in my own time. I had a great time with it, but I missed it at the festival. But that's just what happens sometimes.
Yeah,
and they
I
probably didn't like it as much as you as well. He probably didn't deserve it as much as you, Gavin.
Thank you.
I feel like that is probably like one of the big tips is like not to get precious about the films that you want to see. Although we've spent the majority of this episode talking about the films we're excited to see, I think there's almost that element of like learn to kind of live with the disappointment that you might not get to see them, and just be extremely happy if you do. That seems to be, or at least how I'm going to try approach the festival next week. So, the other thing I wanted to ask about the screenings, and this is probably more so for the press screenings rather than the public screenings, because you are there all day. But like, what are people wearing? Are we going comfy here, or are we? We're working. Are we smart? What?
No,
or is it somewhere in between? Does it
the same Cannes or Venice where you have to wear? I don't know why the hell they wear suits. Particularly, it's so hot down there. Like, why? I'd be a mess. And even just going to LFF, there's something. Why is it when I go watch films all day, I just get sweatier and more disgusting as the day goes on? Go comfy, go casual, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I made that mistake in my first year, going smart, and now it's just not a good idea. Don't do what I did. Go comfy. Bring slippers. Wear dressing gown. Like, go super cash. It's all good.
Maybe I'll go somewhere middle to upper on my first screening, and then throughout the week you'll just slowly see me just like getting more and more casual as it goes. Maybe something like that. I don't think I'll be dressing gown on the first day.
Yeah, that'll come on the last day. But something that you generally do see that I think is quite funny, like the bags under all of our eyes get really prominent as the festival goes on. It's so funny. We're just like, we'll become just shells of cinephiles.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Did you enjoy that? Yes. Next one, next film? Yes.
Desensitization on a mass scale.
That probably leads me like pretty well onto the kind of like a question about networking. Do you go solo? Are you solo when you're there?
Usually, like in terms of, yeah, like when I'm traveling in, I'm traveling in on my own, and I'll just rock up to the different queues for the screenings. I'm usually there just on my own. If I bump into other people I know, great, and you can kind of just hang out in the queues. But yeah, a lot of the time it's just going solo because my schedule is going to be completely different to everybody else's. But you do. If you are talkative, you are a little bit extroverted, you will make friends very quickly.
Okay.
If you want to chat in the queue, absolutely, that happens so often, and you start making queue friends.
So it's easy to network. Is that
100%? Yeah. And it can be a little bit daunting when you start to see these groups kind of form, and you get a sense of, oh, are they like a little cliquey kind of group over there? But just go up to and start chatting, and you'll start
penetrate that grip and go straight in with a handshake.
Exactly, it'll be fine. Yeah, and also there are some really good events happening. There's a big social drinks that Luke Herfield's he's a YouTube critic. So that is happening on, just checking my calendar.
I believe it's just before the surprise film, isn't it?
Yes, Wednesday 16th.
I RSVP'd to it the other day.
Lovely,
I said,
yes.
Last time I'm here, please help.
That's always a really good night, and it's always good fun. Yeah, so it was always before the surprise film, and there are people there who haven't got surprise film tickets, so they just hang around while everyone else is in a surprise film. And actually, what does tend to happen most years is you're just hanging there, you might not have a surprise film ticket, you get talking to someone and they say, oh, I've got a +1, I've got a spare ticket, do you want to come along? Yeah, let me buy you a drink, let's go for it. Perfect. And that can happen. So that's a really good one to go to, and there's usually other drinks that happen throughout the week, and even just kind of impromptu, do you want to go to the pub or do you want to go grab some food somewhere? A lot of people just do things on the fly as well. So yeah, loads of opportunity to network, and really a lot of the time, well, It is in the queues, but I don't know how much queues are going to be a thing now because of the pre-booking. But saying that, even at the pre-festival screenings I was at, there were still, we're British, we love a queue. There were still queues happening because people get there early to try and get a good seat in the screening. So there will forever be queues.
Yes, yeah, nice. Oh, that's good to hear, because there's an element of with myself going there alone, I was a little bit of a daunting experience. I wouldn't consider myself extroverted, but when push comes to shove, I try to get myself out there a little bit. The other thing I was going to ask as well is there does seem to be some opportunities to kind of speak to filmmakers and interview people, and I guess even like with yourself, Gavin, we asked you to come on the podcast today, and I just wondered, how do you prepare for these kind of like impromptu interviews that might happen on the day potentially, or just kind of bumping into somebody and asking them a few questions? Do you have anything that you go prepared in with?
With interviews with filmmakers?
Either like interviews with filmmakers, or I don't know if you've ever interviewed with other members of the press there for quotes about films. I don't know. Potentially you have, but I guess maybe you bump into a filmmaker in the Picture House bar or something, and maybe you want to ask them a couple of questions. I don't know if that is a thing that happens, but if it was to happen or has happened, do you prepare for that in any kind of particular way?
No, because that isn't something that typically happens, those kind of impromptu things. I have seen it before, particularly in the last few years, where different members of press have kind of just gone up to other press, and a lot of time, again, it's all in the queues, and I say, hey, do you want to just do kind of impromptu, just kind of thoughts, some questions, have a little natural conversation? And I've seen that happen.
Sure.
With other filmmakers and stuff, it's never usually because they are out and about the place, and you do bump into them. But in terms of just setting up like an impromptu, half official kind of interview, that doesn't really happen. But just casual conversations with people. Paul Mescal turned up at one of the previous LFF drinks before the surprise films before.
There you
I
go.
left before he turned up, and I'm very annoyed about it and salty to this day.
Forever remember that.
Yeah, but that happens. There was last year or the year before, I was chatting. I ended up having a couple of drinks with a producer that I met there, and it's just because that was more of a sense of more of a personal kind of just getting to know somebody and just getting to know their work, and just talking to each other, about our respective kind of lines of work within that film space. So that's really nice. It was less so of an interview for any kind of journalistic kind of work or commissions, but there are the afternoon teas that the festival put together, so you can literally sit down over some drinks and properly interview loads of different filmmakers. Of course, they're not typically, filmmakers from galas and special presentation films, but everything outside of that seems to be fair game, and they do turn up. So that's a really good one to get involved in. And again, you should have had an email about that. And the festival team are quite accommodating for getting people involved with that.
Yeah, I did actually sign up for one on a Friday afternoon, which again is really kind of pushing the boat out for myself, and kind of shitting myself a little bit there. But what happens if you haven't seen the film? That's what's all going through my mind at the moment. How will I know when I get there if I've seen the films of these filmmakers? And then obviously, I'd like to think I'd be able to still be able to have a good conversation with people regarding just films itself and the idea of their film, but is that a daunting process, or are you better prepared than I am?
No, it's like Google is all of our best friends when it comes to it, or IMDb, a quick wiki. But I think a lot of it actually just comes out. I mean, for me, I just try to be genuine, and something that I do end up doing in any kind of interview situation, to be honest, is that I always get too worked up about it, and I need to tell myself to chill, have a breather, just have a conversation, because I try to put myself in their shoes as well, where they probably don't want a lot of the same questions over and over again by everybody else when it's like super prepared. Just have a cat, like they're just human at the end of the day. Just have a chat with them about their work and try to throw it in their court of just kind of genuine questions, and maybe even get a little weird with it. Start talking about things outside of the films, and that can lead to kind of cool little nuggets as well. And I think that's something I keep having to remind myself in those situations is just be genuine, just have a chat with them. It doesn't have to be super focused. And I do think you can actually sometimes be a bit too prepared, because you get too worked up on trying to hit all the questions that you've kind of set out when you just want a nice flowy conversation.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good to know. I think that's something that's also playing on my mind of, you don't want to ask them the question they've been asked 10 times already that day. But again, it's all very new for me and new for us. So, something I'm really excited to do. But no, thank you for kind of sharing your advice and your tips there. Was there anything else you wanted to say on the matter? Anything you wanted to get off your mind that might support any kind of fellow first-time press pass people like me?
It really is just that thing of burnout and not being precious. Like you're saying, don't be precious about trying to see all the big films. And when we were putting together this guide, and I was reaching out to loads of different people for their advice, that I'd be sharing out with it, and I had so many responses about burnout. And I think we all do it, particularly with our first LFF experiences where we really throw ourselves in on it. And again, we just get absolutely fried from doing that. And I think when you do more of LFF, you start to realize, is it worth it? Is it worth breaking my body and my bank account for it? And I think for a lot of us, we're like, not really, because it's just an amazing experience being there. And again, about not being precious over films, that's when you do end up relying on the rush queues and a ticket ballot system for non-gala stuff. And then you end up seeing an amazing documentary that nobody else has watched, but you've been there as kind of this special experience with a small little crowd. And you get some really amazing, genuine moments like that. So there are so many great hidden gems in there. So trying to have a mix of those, the big gala stuff, because we obviously, whether it's like a paid commission or we need kind of hot content for TikTok, podcasts, YouTube channels that people want to hear about the big stuff as well. So you need to balance it for that, of course. But don't sweat over missing out on things, and just enjoy it. Just the vibe, the buzz of it. It really is a good time, no matter what you end up seeing or not seeing.
No, that's great. Thank you, Gavin. And we'll make sure to put in the show notes a link to that article as well, if anybody else is interested and wants to read it. It was really helpful for myself. And I remember I was searching TikTok when I got the press accreditation, and I was searching TikTok, London Film Festival. That's what I typed in, seeing other people. Yourself came up, and I followed you, and I was very interested in what you had to say. And then, I think it was like a few weeks later, you posted a video talking about that article, and I was like, this is what I needed. And though, to be fair, the really good people at BFI, I emailed them. I was like, I'm a first timer. Can somebody jump on the phone with me and just let me know a few things? And they absolutely did, which was really great as well. So I was really appreciative of that. But to also be able to get that kind of experience, some of those questions I was maybe like nervous to ask about burnout and like what does a day look like and stuff like that. Being able to see that in the article was great. So thank you for that. I was going to finish our segment with you, Gavin. Are you off to see the surprise film?
I am.
You are
Yes.
brilliant, as am I. That was the one purchase I have made so far. I signed up for a couple of the LFF for free events as well. There's a few kind of ones on film criticism that I'm really interested to go and experience. But the surprise film is just fascinating to me. I just like to be able to watch a film without any clue about what you're about to see or what you're about to get yourself in for. Have you done it before?
Yes,
You have done it before. So I was going to end with all giving our kind of predictions on what that surprise film might be. So for me, I am putting my money on Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I've just got a feeling with it coming out later this year, I feel it would work well with the festival crowd. And I believe it was kind of rumored to be at the festival before the program got announced. Like a lot of people thought it might actually be part of the lineup, so be interesting to see if that's the one, and I would be very happy with that one as well. I would be very happy. But what about you guys? Any thoughts on what it could be?
Well, I was thinking that we did mention a certain pop star turning into chimpanzee earlier on in the show, so I think it could be Better Man. It's been playing quite recently. Reviews starting to come out for that, so I think it just seems like something like a typical thing that the BFI would showcase at something like this. It feels like the right fit, but I'd be happy for it for your sake for it to be Nosferatu. Although I have heard Better Man is actually kind of good.
It's worth mentioning for those who don't know, Better Man is a Robbie Williams biopic.
Oh, everyone knows at this point, Alex. Come on.
Well, just in case. A Robbie Williams biopic where Robbie Williams is a CGI monkey throughout the whole film, but apparently is very good. From what I've heard, is baffling choice. Baffling. Would love to have been in the room when that was. When that idea was brought
but fair
up.
play. I mean, it's more interesting than the typical biopic that we get every year, though. I mean, at least they're doing something different.
So true. What about you, Gavin? What's your money on?
I mean, I hope you're right, Alex, with Nosferatu. If you hear a scream when it plays and it's Nosferatu, that'll be me.
Oh, brilliant.
And Better Man, if it is Better Man, that would be, you'll hear a laughter coming out if it is Better Man. My money is on Saturday Night.
Okay.
The
SNL film.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
But I love the surprise film, just the whole thing around it, because I see so many theories and people go wild and real deep cut with their theories, and it seems to be like a criteria that the film has to fit for it to be at the surprise film. Typically, it's something where it's going to be released in the UK at least like a couple months after it. So Better Man, Nosferatu, Saturday Night, that fits that bill. Usually under 2 hours long. Okay. Although Ferrari last year, I think it's like 2:10 maybe, and Better Man, I think it's that runtime. So again, Better Man squeaks into that. Do we know what Nosferatu's runtime is?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
I'm not sure, but it does. It feels like something that would dance around that time. I don't think Eggers, as a filmmaker, likes to stretch his films out too much. But that's just a guess. Don't know.
So as of it could be any of those. But my
2 hours 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Oh, maybe because they're like the runtime is always a big one, because you can't have a 3 hour surprise film because people got to get home at night.
I did remember because what's that?
It's not going to be The Brutalist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was going to say. The Brutalist. I was thinking because that's been playing really well at the festivals that it's premiered at. But I did think, like, man, 3.5 hours for a surprise film is a bit.
Asking a lot. Yeah.
The other thing that is unfortunately against Nosferatu is that it's usually a film that's premiered at another festival beforehand. Better Man and Saturday Night already have.
Yeah.
And Nosferatu hasn't. But I hope this is one time where they throw that kind of out the window, because again, I think we'd all be delighted with having Nosferatu appear on the screen in front of us.
Oh yeah, the theater would erupt. Yeah.
Oh yes. So that's usually like the big things that kind of like the criteria on a surprise film is like the runtime, where it's been before LFF, and the kind of the UK release date. But that's the thing, it does feel like this year more than any, where it really is up in the air. I see a lot of people thinking Baby Girl is going to be the surprise film.
Yeah.
Again, that ticks all those boxes.
Yeah.
But I think it's Saturday night purely because it's fun. It should be like a fun time, and typically that's what you want with a surprise film. Ferrari last year went down like a lead balloon.
Ooh.
And I was talking about some other people, some other critics the other day, and I think if that was just a normal gala, I think that would have played a lot better. But particularly because a lot of people, it's not just kind of us in that #film Twitter circle of going to Luke's party beforehand. Like a lot of people, they're going for drinks beforehand and make it like a big thing. You want it to be a fun, not so much crowd pleasing, but at least something interesting, something a bit fun. And then the dour experience of Ferrari, which is a very serious film, it just did not play well at all. So I wonder if they're going to take that into account and maybe try to kind of counterbalance it with something that is like Saturday night, where it's going to get some laughs and things. But I really could, it really could be Baby Girl. I'm starting to think more and more that it really could be Better Man, which would be amazing. And I love it that we all came out, if it was Better Man, we're like, damn, that was actually really good. CGI Robbie. Who knew? So
if Robbie Williams comes on stage, I'll be like, oh my God.
Well, that's the other thing that could work really well, because they always have somebody there for the surprise film. So imagine
it's something he would do as well,
right?
Oh, we're wishing it into reality here. The other ones I had were I know there's a new Wallace and Gromit film coming out at the end of the year. I thought it's very British, but you're right, it hasn't premiered anywhere.
Wallace has now.
Oh, has it?
It was because that's what upset a lot of people, because it wasn't at LFF, but it premiered at an American festival. We're like, whoa, what's going on here? Taking our Wallace, taking our Gromit. So, but people are starting to say now as well, maybe a surprise film. So you could be onto something there as well.
And then the other one I was thinking was it won the audience award at the Toronto Film Festival, was Life of Chuck, the Tom Hiddleston, Mike Flanagan film. Which I don't think is actually coming out until next year, so potentially that might work against it. But the kind of Toronto Audience Award is always kind of famed as the kind of big bearer of a film that's going to do well in the future. So who knows? Might be bringing it here. You never know. But those are my predictions.
I think they're all solid. And that's
somebody
what makes
who's never done it before. I'll take it. But yeah, no, that's great. I thought it was a fun way to kind of end the podcast there. But Gavin, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate that you've taken time out of your day to join us on the Film Angle and talk all things London Film Festival and help kind of answer some of my questions, and hopefully many other people who are listening who might be in the same boat. So I really appreciate that. Did you want to plug the Filmhounds magazine, your own work? Let people know where to find you.
Yeah, ditch Filmhounds. Just see my stuff. No, Filmhounds is wonderful. We've got a new issue out. It's got interviews with the Terrifier 3 filmmakers and stuff in there. There's even an LFF top 10 picks from all us editors and writers. It's actually a really good issue. I don't have much involvement with the print side of things, so for me it's really exciting to see it. They do a really good job with it. But online stuff, there's loads of great stuff online, and really just all the power to all the editors and the writers for Filmhounds. They do amazing work. We do like to see pictures and stuff, so you can always get in touch. And just my own work. I mean, I'm unfortunately everywhere, just gavinspores.co.uk. I'm all over Twitter, usually just Gavin Spoors, and you'll find my mug there with my spectacles on. And I look forward to seeing you at LFF, Alex. And Kris, hope you enjoy everything that the digital library has to offer. I'm very excited to hear all the breakdowns and the lowdowns from the two of you after LFF is done and dusted.
Definitely. Well, hopefully I'll see you there, Gavin, and I owe you a beer or a coffee or something at least. So I'll keep an eye out for you.
The pleasure's mine. It's been a lot of fun, and you two have got me really pumped for more LFF shenanigans.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you so much, Gavin. Thank you. Oh, that was great, Kris, wasn't it? I feel like I learned a lot there from Gavin, and just really excited to write the films that you mentioned, Dan, to write the film Gavin has mentioned, and man, I'm so pumped to get to the festival and experience it. And I think the thing that I'm going to take away most there is that idea of not being precious. And as much as I really, 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 really want to see Queer from Luca Guadagnino, I should also be fully ready to not be able to make it as well. So
but that's part of growing up.
That's going to be the one I try really hard for. I'm going to try really, really hard for that film. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, what did you think, Kris?
Yeah, it was great to hear from Gavin and give his tips and tricks for visiting the London Film Festival. Obviously, I'm soaking it in through osmosis for whenever I probably eventually go with yourself next year, if they'll have us back. It depends how well you behave, Alex.
Yeah, I've really got to behave myself.
But yeah, it was really cool. Like, not only did he really hit on all the points and it was beneficial for you, but it was also really just interesting to hear about the ins and outs of how this sort of thing operates, because there isn't that much information about that online, ready on the Google search. So obviously Gavin's made a big guide, and you guys sort of expanded on that during the show. So yeah, really, really cool. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. I'm really gonna have to push myself to not get broken down by all this kind of confidence, and
just LARP your way through the week and just pretend you're someone you're not. No, you're fine. Everybody will love you. Honestly, just be yourself.
I'll just be that super confident person that I'm not. That I usually am not. As you can see, I'm already stuttering, which is not a great way to be as a podcast host. But I seem to stutter my way through all of these, and people still listen. So there you go.
Hey, one of our favorite films this year, Hitman. Do that.
Yeah. I can be that guy. I'm mega excited, and it's very interesting because we don't know what I'm going to see or how much I'm going to be able to see, or the days where I'm going to be able to talk about it and all that kind of stuff. It does mean that like the next couple of weeks are a little bit up in the air in terms of like what's kind of come out with the podcast. But the idea is to have at least something come out next week, and potentially a couple of things. I was thinking of maybe trying to split the week in half and talking about some things and filming some things, and maybe even trying to do a kind of video podcast, but that's all up in the air. I'm going to edit some things together and just kind of see how my experience goes, and it'll be a little bit of like an on the ground reporting type thing. So you might not hear Kris's dulcet tones as much as you usually do, but when I'm back in the comfort of my own home, we'll have a big episode kind of downloading on the experience, and as well as kind of catching up with you, Kris, and seeing what you've been able to see as well. So hopefully that will make for some really interesting episodes going forward. I'm really, really excited for what October brings for the film angle. I think we've got some really interesting stuff in store. So stick with us, everyone. Exciting times lay ahead.
Absolutely.
Let's end it there. That has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We do really appreciate it. And if you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist. If you want to listen to what we listen to, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us next week for more cinematic discussions. But for now, goodbye.
See ya.